All right, everyone. Today, we're diving into the interesting story of Emily Ross, a popular social media creator known for her work in the fashion and lifestyle space. Now, clearly, fashion isn't my strong point, but knowing Emily has pursued her passions head on and has now built a career around them, I know we have plenty in common. Which is why, in today's episode, we're going to break down the challenges she's faced along the way and share a few practical tips on how to read. A few practical tips she's learned along the way, like overcoming self-doubt, building confidence, as well as mastering new skills and attracting like-minded people. So let's get into it. Emily, welcome to the podcast. Thank
you for having me. Happy to be here.
What do you think of the garage setup?
I love it. I love it.
Is it aesthetic? Is this a good photo background?
Yeah, it's everything that I had pictured it would be.
Emily, this sort of podcast and the goal for the podcast is, I think your story is quite special, right? I want to break it down. I want to break down how you got there. But the whole point of this is for me to be able to... Geez, that is a very loud plane, eh?
It is.
The whole point is for me to be able to sort of almost break down that story into tips we can give the people, right?
Beautiful.
Because a lot of the time in life, I feel you wish you had this version of you when you were younger.
Oh, absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely.
The reason I say that is I want to start with... Perhaps my introduction wasn't enough context. I want to know a bit about you. Can you share with the listeners a bit about yourself, what you do, what's your thing, what do you like?
Yeah, of course. So, hi, I'm Emily.
Hello.
So I started creating content way back where it was never really necessarily something to like post all the time, but it was just something that I really liked doing, to be honest. Like always loved being creative in that. So it was always something that I was doing. And I remember I was maybe like 8 years old and watching YouTube back in the day and just being like, yeah, I want to do that at some point. Then I kind of, hit middle school and it's like, oh, people are going to judge me for that, aren't they? So, I never did it till later, which I'm sure we'll get into. But yeah, that's a bit about me nowadays. Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're doing well. The thing I wanted to talk about there is pretty much my story is very, very similar. Mm-hmm. I've always been big on the watch people, get inspired by them and just want to try it, right? Mm-hmm. But I too went through the same thing in school of like, oh God, do I really want to risk trying that in front of people? Which is, yes, you're right. A lot of what the podcast is going to be. I figured we would link back to how we first sort of knew each other, right?
Yes.
We met, our paths crossed right as I started my business and I was practicing my skill of photography.
Yes.
And we wanted to go shoot photos at an abandoned house, which everyone was like using as their set for photos.
Yeah.
The day we rocked up, construction began. Yeah. Destruction began.
Destruction.
Point being is a lot of that conversation we had that day was like, our dreams are this, but we're going through this at school because I think we'd either just finished school or were still at school.
Yeah.
Which leads me to the segue of high school. What was your experience like?
Look, all in all, I did love school. Like I had a good time. I think it was like I went to a small school that was very academic. It was very, they'd always try and encourage you to do, science or law or like something that's going to make you a lot of money, like on paper, and so that was kind of the norm, or you'd be really good at sports. So rowing was huge at my school. I don't know about yours.
Yeah.
So kind of not going down that path and saying, hey, I actually want to do something a bit different, something that, is obviously a bit scary to, be in front of a camera and be more like creative and stuff. Yeah, put yourself out there. There was obviously going to be like, people being like, what the fuck is she doing? Can I swear on your podcast? Oh my God, I didn't even check.
Fucking hope you can.
Fantastic. But yeah, there was always going to be people who would judge you for it. And look, to be fair, I was always a bit of a weird kid.
Me too.
Yeah. Harry Potter nerd. Like I played competitive chess for like a term. Like it wasn't that bit much of a stretch to be like, oh, she's doing something else weird. So it's like, it's a bit on brand.
The reason I mentioned that is, school is like, you go back on it. I mean, I'm grateful for the way it shaped me. I look back on like some of the best thing I've got is my brothers, my best closest friends. Mm-hmm. Your story might be slightly different because I know your life more shaped more so outside of high school. But going back into the hive of that, you mentioned this idea of trying to be someone who pleased everyone, and you changed your personality around based on who you were around. Can you run me through the particular moment where you decided it was time to change things?
Honestly, not till after school. Like
So you just survived through school.
I just survived through school. I remember going through school and I never quite felt that like I'd found my people or I, was really doing something that I loved. But all through it, I was like just thinking of like, I'll find my people in uni. Like, you can reinvent yourself. It's something new.
Can you describe to us what that looked like? Because for the people, because what I wanted to sort of extract there is like, oh my God, what do we say to the people right now in school who are stuck there and they don't want to wait till uni? How did you at least get through that period of time and what did life look like? Were you involved in dramas because you're around people you didn't really like? What was life like at school for you?
Oh, look, it was so fun. Like I never like any kind of ridicule is not the right word for it because it was never that, but any like backlash or anything, it was all like made kind of as a joke and it'd be like, well, thank you for that. It's really funny for everyone else, but it kind of hurts a little bit.
Is this a joke on what you were doing and what you're interested in?
Yeah.
Well, how'd your chess game go, Emily? You freak. Sorry. I love chess. We should play after. Sorry.
That was year 6.
Sorry.
Quickly realised I'd rather spend my Friday nights doing something else.
Yep. Sorry, that was too easy of a slam dunk. I had to take that.
Yeah, it's all right. Again, example A. Cunt.
Sorry, but so let's just go more into the high school realm. Take the chess out, all right? Checkmate, motherfucker. Okay. Geez, that wasn't funny. That was so bad. You were around friends that you didn't really align with, and I'm assuming it's because you hadn't quite figured out who you were, which is where I sort of want to go with this, is like, you probably came into your own more so after school when you I want to go down this fashion route, I want to go down the makeup route. These are the things I'm interested in. I'm studying this thing at uni and now everyone's like-minded like me. Mm-hmm. But while you were at school, there's no doubt that you already had those passions. What did you do to at least try them? Were you doing it secretly? What was your...
I'm just trying to think. I think a lot of the time while I was at school, I was very, very involved in lots of co-curricular activities. Like I played sport, I did, music. And I think finding other things that you love, even if it's like not the one thing that you're like, oh, I really want to always do this, because it was, whilst yes, I did have that passion, I still loved playing sport. I still loved doing music, and like finding friends and connecting with people on that as well was really special. And, I know I'm saying like I obviously found my people in uni, but I still, had great friends in school. And whilst I felt like I wasn't completely myself around them at that time, like they were still, I would still get along with people, I could still hold a conversation. You were just this outcast that just hated everyone. I was living a life, but yeah, it was just, it never felt super authentic.
Are you saying that like you said, you didn't really, you hadn't quite owned who you were or even discovered it yet, but you still had this, I'm going to try it anyway muscle. And the reason I use the word muscle is because you can train a muscle, right? And your muscle grows and it gets like a disciplined muscle. The more you're disciplined, the more disciplined you become.
Exactly.
So what I mean to say is like, are you saying that to the audience out there who hasn't quite, they're not sure of themselves yet or not sure about like where they sit in the world yet, are you saying like train that muscle anyway of just trying things? Like,
absolutely.
What did it take for you? Are you saying you were born with this ability to, I'm interested in that, I'm just going to go try it? Or did it take things for you to get there?
Oh, no, I was always keen to try a bunch of things. I think my bio is just like mediocre at most things. It's because I would just dip my toe in as much as I could. And like, I didn't have one thing that I was like, not obsessively doing, but I was never someone who was like, oh, they're a soccer player. Like they're going to be an amazing soccer player and they're fantastic at it. Awesome if you are, but I just wanted to try everything. And, when you're trying everything, you don't have the time to be a superstar, which is fine. But
you also find the thing you'll become a superstar at by having tried the set of stuff.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Which leads me to the next question. If we're going to niche down to the set interests of sort of what you're into now. I've written, can you discuss your early interests? What initially sparked your passion for fashion? And geez, I didn't even realize that rhyme. Passion for fashion and makeup. Now, I know there is more to you than fashion and makeup, but let's just say that's the foundation for the interest that you had begun in high school and began sharing as content, and now it's what you do full time in a way.
Yeah.
What got you there? Why?
Honestly, just like the stuff that I was consuming as like a adolescent, like, YouTube was still a thing. You had all like the the influences from like the old days, like just like
Jay
people
Alvarez, Summer Rae, all of them.
Yeah, all of them, like Bethany Moda, like no. Anyways.
sorry.
Different niches there.
Sorry.
Yeah, I just kind of was always very inspired by I think what they were doing, and it was that kind of God, what's the word? Aspirational. Like I love. Like they are gorgeous. Their aura is fantastic. Like I love everything that they.
Me too. I 100% completely.
You got that out, please. I don't know. Thank you.
But so question then is, I've got a question here. How did you go about growing these passions rather than abandoning them with things when things didn't necessarily go as seamlessly as you thought? But before we go there, the thing that comes to my head is like, are you saying to the audience that doesn't even know where to go? Like you've now established, I was willing to try things no matter what. And then that helped me discover the next thing. But then for the next part, which is like, how did you find the things you were willing to discover? What if someone's just stuck in their room? Are you saying pay attention to the stuff you're consuming online? Like if you're interested in it, I'm saying, how did you find those interests?
Yeah, I mean, great question, actually. I mean, we'll start with dance. I was a dancer since I was like 3 years old. That was just something that I think my mum put me into. It wasn't anything special at 3, but it's something that I really liked doing. And so I danced till I was 17 and I bloody loved it. But like new things that I would just try, I don't know, it was weird. I would just someone would say like at recess or lunch or something, be like, oh, trials for this, on this lunchtime, I'd be like, oh, what's that about?
Let's go.
Tell me and I'll give it a try.
Guys, I think that's a very good attitude to adopt. I know it seems easier said than done, but I like the idea that okay, regardless of whether you're seeking these new things or the new things are falling in your lap, having that attitude of yes, especially for the surface level stuff. I'm not saying, hey, a new investment opportunity that's going to take all of my savings away has popped up and I'm saying yes. But for the macro things, like not just activities to be part of, but communities to join, like dance, I feel like a big part of that as your character shaping as a person wasn't just the skill of dance. It was around the other gals. So I say gals instead of girls. Gals. It was around the other girls that were interested in the same thing as you.
Absolutely.
Community, people to be around.
Yeah, some of my best friends from dance, so...
Speaking of people to be around, this is going to be a good segue. I've got the thing in bold here. It says self-acceptance versus acceptance from peers. So at this stage in the story, you found fashion, you found dance, you found makeup, you found these things that you've taken aspiration from others. Discuss the idea that even once you feel you figured out who you are or are on the process of doing so, what you're interested in and what you want to pursue doesn't mean that everything else falls into place in terms of the people around you. Does that make sense? And it's not really a question, but do you have any comments on that?
I think...
Hey, mom, I'm interested in this. Accept it.
Yeah, look... Honestly, especially in social media, when you start going to events and you start networking and stuff, it's always, especially taking content, before there was we knew about these Bluetooth little things that, people go do their tripod photos. Mad respect, by the way. Love that. Yeah. You'd be like, oh, can someone take my photos? I trained my mum up for a while. She's the best. She's shout
out, mum.
Mums of Instagram.
Love you.
Love you, mum.
You're right. That does take a bit of content. You know what? Even now, my full-time job is content creation, shooting photos, getting content of myself. When I'm out on a social occasion, Emily, you'll never find a photo of me out socially because it's that asking, which to me requires a whole other set of confidence.
Oh yeah. But here's the thing, right? So many other people at that event were thinking the exact same thing.
Keep going. Yeah. I feel like you're onto something here. As in, you're in a situation where, despite your nervousness, you realize everyone else is nervous and you say, hey, would you like a picture of you? Suddenly everyone's taking pictures.
Yeah, and then you get talking and you're like, oh my God, we'll go shoot content together and go for brunch. And most of my friends I've met through social media now and bloody love them.
What do you say to the people, and forgive me for being the devil's avocado here, but obviously I love that. I love that you've recruited the resources available to you. Shout out, mum. But then also you've just given us a really actionable tip of, hey, if you feel a little bit nervous about something, maybe test the waters to see if anybody else is, because you could be nervous together, right? Both of those sound like ample fall in your lap situations. And I'm not saying that they were. What happens when someone says, nah, I don't want to take your picture, Emily? What's your advice to someone who's around people like that? Because I remember my brothers, let's say when I was back on YouTube as a kid, and I was posting vlogs every week of just stupid shit, right? Thankfully, my brothers, I call them my brothers because we are still so close today, right?
Yes.
They supported me. They wanted to jump in. We created a lot of memories together, but there was also a stage in school where I had friends where I would message and say, hey, do you want to go shoot some content? Do you want to go try and learn to backflip at bounce? Like just stupid shit. And they're like, no.
Yeah, they're like, no thanks. And they'll go to their friends and be like, what the fuck?
He's so cringe. He's this, he's that. Yeah. He only wants to hang out when it's content. This is all what I used to go through, right? Are you saying that you cut those people out, but in high school you couldn't? What's your advice to people who are around people that don't support?
No, look, I think supporting and just blatantly like
Shutting
not wanting
down.
to be involved are two completely different things. Like I've got like still like such good friends from school who aren't into it, and that's so fine. Honestly, that's a good thing in my eyes. Like I think if someone's just blatantly not supportive, like saying no like bluntly, it's like, okay.
So Emily's saying there's a value in having friends out there. You can still be friends with people who aren't directly interested in the passion you're pursuing. They can still be your friends and valuable to you in other ways, but maybe it's important to delineate the difference. Oh, there you go. So it's just processed in my head. The difference between someone who's saying, nah, you suck, I'm not being involved with this at all, versus, hey, I love you. I love our friendship, but perhaps ask someone who's good at content.
Yeah, exactly. And there's such a difference. And I love my friends. I feel like, honestly, they're the best people in the world, the people that I surround myself with. I love to bits. And yes, a lot of my friends do social media, but a lot of my friends don't. And it's really, really nice to have that kind of break, you know, the difference, and you can talk about other stuff. And it's fantastic.
I wanted to go on to the next stage of, speaking of segues, the idea that like, you know, this really came to fruition for you in uni where you're around people very similar. Of course, as you've gone along, you've leaned, like one thing we've talked about off camera is I love like having watched you from the day we met where you're like, I have this idea, I like this thing, I'm a little bit nervous about it, but I'm going to try it anyway. And then as the years go on, I said it to you on the phone yesterday, you found your flavor. Every year, M. Ross becomes more M. Ross. And in doing so, you've found other M. Rosses. And by that, I don't mean influencer fashion people. I mean people who have also found themselves, right? Yeah. Before we go into that stage of uni, can we rewind back to high school, just in case?
Let's do it.
Is there anything you remember that just like cut you deep? Is there anything you remember in class? Like I've got this one story where people would, this is back when I posted YouTube videos, but I didn't really want people to see them. I'd post them. Hopefully they go viral, but to anyone else other than people at school. Yeah. And people would take my videos and play them on the teacher's screen and the whole class would laugh at me. That was my big one.
Do you know what? I had the same thing happen to me.
Okay.
Except, oh God. So I auditioned for The Voice Kids. Declined by Miley Cyrus. Think like, fluoro pink, skinny jeans and like a side plait. It was great look. Sent it to a friend who I did music with. And they played it in front of the whole class. And their teacher just let them watch it on their whiteboard. And then I heard about that.
Fuck.
And I'd kind of sent it to one person as
Wait, they did it behind your back as well?
I didn't know that they were watching it. They just came up to me like, oh, we just watched your audition video. I'm thinking,
and you know what?
How did you know about that, firstly? Secondly, how did you get that? Yeah. And I only really told one person, so.
Fuck. Yeah. Regardless of what the intention was, maybe that friend was being supportive and not conniving. Exactly. Either way, it's an invasion of fucking trust.
Crossed a line there.
Yeah. Jeez. Anything else you remember about school in terms of like what you would and wouldn't say to people? I don't know. I find it very interesting. I don't want to skip over it so lightly because I feel like that's something people can relate to a lot. The idea of you changed I really wanted to be liked in high school. However, I was also a super confident person. My issue was that like, I know who I am. I like who I am, faults and all. I've come to learn to like still improve the faults just because you like yourself. You don't just leave the faults as they are. Yeah. Before I was like, I'm me. And if I suck, I still like me. Right. But at school, I had my close group of friends, which means I found my aligned set of people. But if someone wasn't aligned to me, it was my life's fucking mission to be like I need to figure this out.
Yeah.
I'm going to fix you.
You will like me. You will.
I'm going to fix you until you like me. And it would be so demoralizing. I don't know if that's a word, but like heartbreaking when I just couldn't crack them. I couldn't get them to like me. And it stung. And then eventually I learned the same sort of story that you push on, which is eventually you just stop caring.
Exactly.
And you embrace the people who are aligned more. People, I feel like people go through that. I'm assuming you guys go through that. Was there anything you remember about that time that, okay, maybe they're not liking you? How do you process that? How did you break it down for yourself to get through that?
Yeah, look, it was rough, but it was, okay, and I'll say it was also quite freeing, but I'll get to that. So I remember around like year 10, I feel like this happens everywhere, but you know, all the friendship groups kind of change. Like people grow, people change, you get different values and interests. So normal, right? But it's a very confusing time to be at school, right?
So many things changing all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And my friendship group changed as well. And I'd kind of, you know, had a friend in another group and I'd, you know, oh, can I like sit with you guys and, you know, try to get, you know, start with them at lunch and recess. And, you know, it was part of the conversation. I was like, yeah, you know, I like these people. And I was sitting with them for like a year, guys.
Wow.
I was sitting in their circle.
Nice.
But yeah, I was like, I knew that they still had a group chat that I wasn't a part of, that they would talk about people who weren't in the group chat in the group chat.
Oh.
And I knew that and I thought,
why is it? Sorry, this is. I didn't mean to make this a gender conversation. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I have two sisters who have told me the exact same story.
Yeah.
Why? I don't want to say why do girls do that, but that just seems like I'm pointing the finger. Why do girls do that?
Look, I don't know. I think
so exclusive. Like,
yeah, I was so like, she's sitting with us, but she can't sit with us.
Yeah.
No. Bless. These are like a lot of these girls are like my good friends now. I love them to pieces.
But
like
it's still the way that it occurs.
It still happened. And I think going through that and thinking I'm trying so hard to be friends with these people. Like I feel like I'm not being myself around them so they like me. And then they're still not. And I'm thinking, well, fuck that. You know what? I'm just gonna, you know, if I'm pretending to be someone different around everyone else, it's like, okay, well, do they like me? Do they like me? But I'm like, do I like them?
Do I like me?
Do I like me? Do I like them? Like I think it was very, just kind of flipping the narrative there was very freeing to thinking I've gone to all this effort to, you know, change myself or like act in a certain way and for shit to still be the same. I'm like, I may as well do that and like behave in a way that I would normally, I was still behaving in a way that I would normally, but, you know, not feel like I was putting on like this front, if that makes sense.
So you pulled the brakes and you like looked at it from a macro perspective and you're like, wait a sec. Yeah. What am I bothering
What's going on?
Yeah, these people can't even checkmate me. Fuck them.
Yeah.
No, you didn't laugh. That was meant to be a chest joke.
Sorry.
That fucking fell so hard on his face. I was like, insert chest joke here.
Yeah,
damn it.
That's all right.
Yeah, all right. Now we're in an awkward side. Okay, but no, that's good. Actually, fuck.
It was a great metaphor.
Yeah, actionable piece of advice though is yes, you know, maybe if you're in this situation where things aren't really working for you with the thing that you're trying, perhaps it's important to just pause. It'll probably be, I'm sure that moment where you decided, hey, do I even like them? Sure, that's positive and it led to the next set of growth. But also for you, that little period of, do I like them? Oh my God, the answer is no. Shit, that's even more uncomfortable than just pretending.
Yeah,
so you would have been
like
a bit lonely for a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
I did.
I thought that was like the spark of change.
No. I actually did like them.
So the actual piece of advice to the people is have a think about it, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of the time I was very focused on changing myself to like other people, but everyone is just a person. Like you put people on a pedestal, I think, when you're thinking why don't they like me? Like please like me type of thing. It's like they're literally just a person. Like and people will get along, people won't get along. Like it's not that deep. It can feel like the end of the world, but I promise you will find people who are your people.
Nice. Speaking of people just being people, the idea that we're talking on right now is the idea that there are people like you and there are people not like you. And like you said, they're just people. It doesn't really matter. We've been through school where people weren't necessarily like you, but eventually you found ways to make that work. And then we go into uni. Now, uni, you studied a degree that you use for your career now, but you've talked a lot about the past of you appreciated attended university for the community of like-minded people it brought around you.
Yes.
You also discussed the idea that at uni, the same way people were nervous about taking pictures at events, people were just nervous about making friends at uni.
Oh, absolutely.
Firstly, well, we've already answered that question. How important is it to find one's tribe? But the next one is, what advice would you give to those that are at uni and they haven't quite found their people? Like, oh my God, I chose this freaking degree to be around me. I still hate all of you.
Oh man, I mean, I got so lucky.
Stop saying that. I hate it. No, okay, you were lucky, sorry to interrupt, but I feel like that disqualifies us from like being... They're like, oh fuck, Emily's lucky. I guess I'll stop listening then. No, sorry.
No, that's all right. I mean,
you know what I'm saying though?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying. I think
you weren't lucky. You built your life the way it is because of what you did.
Yeah, it was a weird thing, right? So sorry, going back to school now, was can't fucking leave that place. I was never someone who was like particularly like smart. Like I wasn't known as like a smart person. So I feel like the expectations for like ATAR or whatever, they weren't anything crazy, and that was so fun. I didn't really have that. I need to get like 99.97. I never had that, right? Because I knew I didn't want to be a doctor. I get so sick at like anything where it's not supposed to be. Like it makes me feel nauseous seeing like a paper cut. That was just off the table immediately. Yeah, can't deal with it.
No, I don't think I can either.
Yep. And then I don't know. I just kind of in like year 12 just chose subjects that I was interested in that I liked. It was like it wasn't the usual like academic mix that my school kind of promoted. Oh, we didn't even offer half the stuff that other schools did.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like that was to the point like it was they offered all the sciences, all the maths, but I did subjects externally as well. But I stuck to them, and I ended up doing well at school, which I didn't think I would. No one else thought I would. It was just kind of like I kind of said to myself, I'm not about to do 13 years of school to get a shit ATAR. Like I want to try my best, and I did, and ended up doing well. And then the reason why I'm saying this is because I kind of got my score, and I'm thinking, fuck, should I be doing like something with this? Should
I relate to this so much.
Yeah. Should I be like, do I change my preferences? And I was talking to my mum about it, and I was like, oh mum, do I like do law or something? Like,
no.
And she was like, Emily, you haven't read a book since you're 8. I was like, true.
No, but I relate to that a lot. This is going to sound, there's no way to not say it without sounding like a wanker, but I got quite the high ATAR myself, right? Dropped out of uni. I never used it. But I did though. And what I mean to say by that, and I've said it on the podcast before, that output, like, so yes, you didn't choose the bio and maths and become a lawyer or a doctor subjects, but you still kicked ass with the score, and you still generated this result that is quite high achieving, right? The reason I still look back and I'm like, thank God I did that, despite the fact I didn't go to uni or didn't use my score, and Mum, should I be a doctor? But I understand where you're coming from. It was the work you put in.
Absolutely.
That's what the score represents. It's not the fucking how'd you get it or what are you using that score for. I haven't touched my score. I don't use it at all, but I do not regret that year of hard work.
Oh, no, neither. I think I'd be filled with a lot of doubt in myself if I didn't do what I did.
Your work ethic was a skill that you can now apply to anything.
Yeah, because people just breeze over it. You have the people who are like smart ones in school. It's like no one gave a second. No one gave like a rat's ass and was like, oh, like Emily, she's like into, like arts and stuff. And
if we were to circle this back to the thing where I cut you off about being lucky, did you say that? Are you saying that that's had an impact on the way that you found people in uni? You surrounded yourself with people that wanted to work as hard. Is that where that was going?
Honestly, I changed my preference. I did end up changing my preferences like last minute, but it wasn't to do anything that was like a higher ATAR entry. It was just a random panic of fuck.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I doing with my life?
Quick, make a decision. Quick.
Yeah. So I ended up, I think my first preference was, one of my first preferences was like marketing at like Adelaide Uni or something, which was something that I liked. But then I kind of found this other degree at Flinders. It was media and communications, and it kind of encompassed everything that I liked. I was kind of dipping my toe into a lot of things. It meant that I didn't have to choose one thing. I studied business, I studied film, I studied multimedia, and pardon me.
Was that a burp?
It was
All
a
right, I'm
burp.
taking that cue to turn the camera back on. Okay, I've turned the cameras back on. We're back from Emily's burp. Let's go. No, I'll just cut from there. You're back on. You're back on.
Oh, bless. It was a good burp. I feel better now. Thank you. Yeah, it was.
You picked something broad enough for you to learn multi-skills.
And in first year, it meant that I, as part of my degree, had people from doing a bunch of different degrees. And, you know, we didn't actually have our core like media communications people till second, third year, because like all of our first year topics were essentially something you could do in other degrees as well. And so, yeah, I think I got lucky in the sense that I had that panic of, let me change.
Yep.
And then
what do you suggest to the people at uni right now? I know that is so broad and such a nothing question, but like maybe a key learning. You've now finished it. You stuck it through.
Yes.
What was your biggest takeaway from uni?
Ooh. Oh
could be
God.
anything. Could be social. Could be learning. Could be strategy. Like when I was doing my research yesterday, you were talking about using a software that gives you a countdown.
Oh yeah, big day countdown. Saved my life. Yeah.
Talk
absolutely. Oh, it just puts all your deadlines on your computer, and it was so satisfying. Like it would get you working because you see, oh, I've only got like a week to do this assignment. Let me just do that, and then you could see what's coming up. But the satisfaction of handed that up, clear it, move it all up. I'd have all my assignments taking up my whole desktop, and I would just move it up. And I used it all through school as well. And then at the end of the year, when there was like 2 things left, and it was your exams, tick it off. The satisfaction was fantastic.
So let's skip forward past uni now. I like the way that this is going. Off camera, we've discussed the idea that, you know, despite you being quite good at what you do, despite realizing you're actually quite the high achiever, despite not even you thinking it, right? We've talked about this idea, and I want to get into the business side, regardless of whatever work you do, but the business side of your social media, right? Off camera, we discussed the idea that you definitely have goals, you definitely have aspirations, and you definitely have as we've made clear in this podcast, the right attitude and muscles for just giving things a try, right? But then you've also mentioned the fact that you, from a deadlines perspective, as made clear by said app, you struggle a little bit with getting yourself to do certain things. Do you know where that comes from? Is it something that other people might be struggling with? Yeah,
I don't know where that comes from. It's just...
Because it's not like you're not a motivated person. You are motivated.
I'm very motivated. It's just, if I don't have, like, it's weird, it will like come in bursts. Same with like tidying my room. Maybe I have something fucking undiagnosed up in my brain.
It'll come in bursts like tidying my room.
Yeah, I'm like, I won't tidy it for weeks, and then I'll be like, right, today's the day. Deep clean.
So maybe the perspective on it is the thing, in the sense of like, perhaps it's not a procrastination thing and it's not an anti-motivation thing. It's you have your periods, and when the periods come, you maximize
Smash
on them.
it out, yeah.
What do you say to the people at uni right now who are just, their assignment's due tomorrow and they don't have their app? Like, what got you through the times you didn't want to do certain shit?
Ask yourself if you want to do that subject again.
Ooh. Break that down. What does that mean?
Well, if you fail, you got to do it again, right? If it's a core, if you want your degree, you have to pass it at some point. Do you want to go through all of that again?
Yeah, that's true. It's there's this idea of, especially in business, which I learned very early on, which was poor man pays twice. And the idea of that is so like, true. A lot of people are like, how can I save money on this investment and not have my costs so high? And let me get the cheapest option, the cheapest thing. That's how I save my money. And then they buy a cheap thing, which inevitably is shit and inevitably breaks or doesn't solve the problem that you were buying for. And guess what you got to do?
Pay more.
You've got to pay more to buy the thing to fix the problem that you caused. So you're right. You try and do it right the first time. And if you hate it, you're going to hate it double if you have to do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Let's talk, speaking of doing things, I'm really trying to keep this segue. Like, speaking of doing this.
Speaking of.
If you guys have listened to the other podcast, you notice it's a bad habit of mine. I need to work on that. Business and career growth. Around 2022, your social media pages really began to take off. Can you describe that period of time and the challenges you faced? What did you learn from it all?
Yeah, so it just so happened that my TikTok blew up as I was finishing uni. So I was like third year, everything was due, exams were happening. I was getting inundated with emails and like collab opportunities. And I was like, well, I am so overwhelmed right now. What the fuck is going on? It was a weird like thing because I'd been trying for a long time
To get these opportunities.
To get these opportunities. And I was like, right, like, and like I'd kind of studied it a bit in uni as well. So I was thinking, you know, I know the value to some extent, but to go back to a business and say, this will cost you this much, it's a weird thing, right? Because it's a TikTok, like, but it's not just a TikTok.
So you've juggled the world of public opinion with peers and friends, and now you're at a point where opportunities are coming, but now juggling the world of business negotiation is it's like, hey, people like me now. That's good. And you figured out the people aspect, but now it's like, hey,
how do you value yourself?
Yeah, hey, business, this is what I'm worth.
I'm literally just a girl. Like,
and you know what? At the start, the esteem thing comes right back into play because now we figured out, okay, well, I don't care if people do or don't like me, but I kind of need this business to like me and agree with me to pay me money, right?
You got to back yourself. Yeah.
What was that like? Sending your first quote out back in the day?
Strange. And like, I remember I'm thinking that they're never going to like agree to this. Like in my head, I was like, this is a lot of money for like a TikTok, and they come back, yep, absolutely. I was like, oh.
And then you realize you could have tripled the money.
Yeah, and then I like kind of, and when I got into like management, they're like, oh, how much are you charging now? And I was like, oh, like this much. They were like, you could be charging so much more. I'm thinking, the fuck? Yeah.
For people who don't have that set of context, essentially, I mean, if you're watching, I mean, you guys, I'm assuming you guys know how social media works. Obviously, promotion comes with it, you know, especially if you're a creator who has an audience that trusts you. When you're able to promote things, whether it's your own product or somebody else's product, that is worth money because it makes the other end, whether it's the other end of your product or the product, especially in fashion, man, that is such a fast moving industry.
Super fast.
I feel like, okay, I don't know if I want to dive into fashion talks. I'm so unqualified, but like, for me, obviously, my brand deals and my income is food media, all of that stuff. Yours is very much similar, but on the fashion end, there are so many more fashion and clothing businesses than there. Oh, actually, no, food's massive too. I'm trying not to get on a ramble here, but do you find that because there are other fashion influencers and so many different products and so many different brands that yes, there might be a lot of opportunities, but how many of them are actually ones you want to take on? Like,
oh, absolutely.
How many do you say no to and why?
When I first started, I was like, okay, let me do them all.
Take them.
Like, like I'm an influencer now. Like,
yeah, yeah, I feel the same.
But you know, I think as you kind of grow and like find yourself like as a creator and, you know, really find a set of values almost, I think it's like, I have said no to quite a few. It'd be at first point authenticity. My skin used to be really bad. I used to have so many skincare brands like reach out to me. I'm only going to do ones that I genuinely like first and foremost, and I'm not going to do a bunch of them.
I know why, because I do this, but can you tell the audience why? Why do you make that choice of authenticity? What if the bag's great, Emily?
What if the bag's
I just had deja vu. That was weird. Sorry. I just had deja vu. That was so weird. Why don't you take the bag, Emily?
Well, here's the thing, right? And I think this is a difference between people who give a shit about providing value to their followers and people who are just in it because it's lucrative.
So you're saying short game versus long game?
Yeah. I mean, I care a lot about the value that I'm giving to people, and a lot of the time it won't seem like it because I'll be doing like a silly little like fit check or something. But genuinely, like the stuff that I promote on my page, I fucking love. And it can be hard sometimes when you work with a brand, you agree to work with a brand, you're like, oh my God, I love this brand, I've loved them for years, and they'll give you a script essentially. That's just, you know, you need to hit all of these talking points in 15 seconds. You need to put like text on the screen. It just kind of kills the vibe a lot.
I can relate
make
to that.
You seem very like not genuine. And just know like that regardless, like that is stuff that I genuinely like.
There's this idea that I'm very big on, which is not all that glitters is gold. And I knew, like, especially as this started to grow and same as you, the opportunity started to come in, but I'd already been running a business, so I wasn't scared of the growth. I was like, I'm going to fucking, as long as I'm providing you value, I'm not here to cash grab from the businesses. But again, hey business, I'm not willing to take this on if my audience isn't going to like it. Because it's not me, it's not your marketing return, and it's not my money in pocket. It's how does the audience feel, right? You're right. There was a stage stage there where I would have these big brands that I always dreamed of having.
Yeah.
They'd reach up and be like, yes, you could pay me 2 cents. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I'd do shit for free.
Then you realize, oh, maybe I was better just doing it for free.
It's always the big brands too that are like, we'll give you like fuck all, and if you could post like 5 TikToks for us, that would be great. We'd also like to use it as ads across like every social media platform. And you're thinking,
no. And it's funny that like you do all this stuff for free as content because you love it, but inevitably doing that stuff for free because you love it leads to the success of, all right, people can tell you love it. Therefore, I fucks with you, Emily, right? That's great. I fucking believe that what you're doing is real. You're not a fakey. You're not a piece of shit. Then the brands come in and these guidelines come. This is probably a very niche thing. Not a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah.
But the idea that like sometimes you're better off just like you're saying, you do for the influencers that are listening or the people who want to do content or are interested in this way of doing things. Yes, if you are going to take on promotions, have a set of rules that you stand by. Are they products that you believe in? Are they things you actually use? Do you think it'll bring value to the audience? Yes, I'm sure you could search this on YouTube. How do I pick the right brand deals? There's something there for you. But there's also the idea of like when the brand deals start coming, this is something that I like. This podcast, we're in a fucking garage. There's no money in this, right?
Yeah.
Right now. But this is what I love it either way. I'm going to do it with there could be, if there's, I was just going to say, imagine a world now where an ad plays straight after this.
This episode is sponsored by...
Great. Go buy my cookbook. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm going to do this anyway, and I want people to realize that that's the case. But there is an element of, yes, there's brands coming in, there's opportunities coming in, but don't stop doing the thing that you were doing prior to the brands. Making content. That's you.
Yeah, exactly.
This became a long rant. Having done this for years now and having improved exponentially at it all, this goes back to the whole flavor thing. Like, again, I don't really understand the fashion world, but I can see that your content continues to improve and it just keeps getting better the more you post. What are the main things you've learned about yourself? Because you know how to take a good photo, but that doesn't, that there's more to this, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think, especially in like the fashion world, there's a lot of sources out there that tell you different things. And there's a lot, I mean, personally, when I first started, especially now, I love supporting small businesses. I love, more of a slow fashion approach, just as a, I don't know, value kind of thing.
What does slow fashion mean?
So, how you've got like your ollies, you've got your, would actually just cut that out. I don't want to be sued.
Wait. Yeah. Maybe editor bleep that.
Bleep that one.
My understanding is fast fashion means clothes that are thrown out, and slow fashion is clothes that are worth more, but you don't have to replace them.
Yeah, essentially slow fashion, it's better quality generally. I think fashion trends change so fast, and fast fashion brands will get onto them. They'll have it at an affordable price point, which, for a lot of people, it's a fantastic option. But I think even though like I'm not fucking rich, it would be so much easier if I would do that. But I think making the shift of I would rather save up my money and build myself a capsule wardrobe that's like invest in some good pieces that I can wear for years. I got another bird.
Are you saying, okay, for a non-fashion person, what I'm hearing is the difference between buying a really expensive leather jacket, for those who are okay with wearing leather or whatever, you buy a really expensive leather jacket, it's one certain style, it does limit you slightly to what you can wear with it, but it's going to last you your whole life, it's really high quality, and it's something that you believe in. I'm guessing that's what capsule wardrobe means. It's something that really is Emily Ross, versus, okay, well, the style of leather jackets has changed every 6 months, and the way that I get the leather jacket that suits the trends at the moment is I buy the lower quality one that's probably not leather, is worse for the environment, costs less, but also I'm with the trend. But it also means I won't be wearing it 6 months from now. That's
pretty much it.
Yeah, fucking someone's...
That's pretty much it.
I'm so good at fashion.
Yeah, capsule wardrobe, it's like more like timeless pieces.
Like Doc Martens.
Yeah, they're part of your capsules. You got to have like a pair of straight jeans, not a pair of skinny jeans.
Fuck it, let's have some fun with this. Emily, give me 3 tips to dress better right now. What should I be looking for?
Fuck.
Don't make it about me, make it about me.
Make it about me.
Okay, dudes watching this.
What are
3 tips?
3 tips. And this is the same for girls actually. Pinterest, fantastic place for inspiration.
What do you search?
Just outfit ideas
dudes
for
in
guys.
clothes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dudes in clothes. As opposed to dudes not in clothes. Just dudes.
Males, enter. Shit. So, Pinterest? Sorry, fuck. It's fine. What's wrong with me?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong. Yeah, sounds like I agree. I'm just thinking. Yeah, find good quality pieces that will last. Like, if you're looking for a style, like a certain style, find people that you think, hey, I like their style. I like the way they dress. What do they wear? Are they wearing baggy pants? Are they wearing vests? Are they wearing like shirts? How many buttons do they have done up? Like, what's their style like? And then how can I emulate that and make that my own? That would be my like key for style.
I've heard a saying that when it comes to a dude who doesn't know how to dress, there's nothing better than a dude who's what's the best way to put this? Instead of getting heaps tailored, perfect this, high brand that, it's plain t-shirt, be in shape. Very simple.
Well, there's always the debate. It's like, is that a good outfit or is she just pretty?
Oh.
Yeah. There's always
a
a
good
debate.
outfit or is she just pretty?
Yeah. Or skinny, whatever it is.
Yeah, right. You're right. So there's a little bit of a cheat code to the way you can get past fashion.
Yeah. I mean, it's just funny. It's like, if anyone else, like, if any normal person wore that outfit and walked around, people would be like,
yeah,
what the fuck's she on?
Good
like,
point, good point. Yeah.
But if someone like Bella Hadid wore like this outfit, they'd be like,
actually,
incredible.
As a non-fashion person, let me ask you something. This is going now more onto the culture. I want to come back to you and your story, but okay, I wear the same clothes all the time, right? This is literally just merch that I wear, right?
Fantastic.
Okay, so I look at your fashion, I think, you know what? Very aesthetic. You look good. It's a great outfit, right? You've always been able to generate good. Even when I knew you back in the day, I say back in the day, like we're fucking 40. You've always been very well presented, right? That's fashionable, and I know that, you know, the more niche you go into fashion, the more unconventional the fashion becomes. As in, like the difference between a casual outfit with a vest and jeans. If you're an audio listener, Em's dressed nicely, but it's an outfit you'd expect someone to wear for a podcast, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay, let's go into the world of culture and fashion. For me, looking at some of these Bella Hadids you're talking about, she just fucking looks whack. Shit looks weird, right? But can you run me through as a non-fashion person that, you know, okay, perhaps fashion's a self-expression thing and it doesn't need to make sense to, like, what, have you noticed the more niche you get into fashion, the more weird shit's getting?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's another thing of like fashion, like micro trends, you know, you might like see a couple people wear them and it's really trendy for like 2 months. And then next minute there's something else that comes along and it's really just like those big influencers like Bella Hadid that will do something funny and people are like, oh my God, she's done it. Like, let me try it.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
How much, okay, this could be something you answer personally. Maybe we're opening the curtains on this a little bit. How many of your outfits, this could be a good question. Ready, everyone? How many of your outfits have you just worn for an Instagram picture, but not being, I don't want to use the word confident, but not being willing to wear in real life? Because I know a lot of fashion is great for a photo.
That's a really good question, actually. That's a really good, a lot. And I think, not so much now because I'm trying to kind of do more content surrounding like actually going out and actually doing things, not just like going out, practical way, you know? Even so, I think there were a lot of times where I'd be like, this is a sick photo. I'd find it on Pinterest and be like, that looks really Pinteresty. I love it. I'd go out, I'd take the content, would never wear it, like actually going out.
What stops you? Is it perhaps people won't receive it the right way, or this is fucking silly, or maybe it works really well for a photo, but...
I think...
And it's okay. It's okay if this, like, you know what? Maybe I'm not that confident to wear this certain thing, or maybe I don't want to be judged, but I can understand if you're wearing a fucking baking paper as an outfit, like fashion,
baking
right?
paper.
I'm wearing alfoil today
Next
and it
Instagram
looks
photo.
good. I don't know.
Honestly, I think it's Adelaide.
This is good. This is good.
You go to Melbourne and you see people like, oh,
what a fit.
Fantastic outfit. Bloody love it. And, you know, we're seeing it more so now. I think it was just like back in the day when I was doing more like outfits that I wouldn't necessarily wear out. it would be because Adelaide's quite like
Conservative.
late and it's conservative. And so all these ideas that I'd find from elsewhere, people would probably already wearing out. And if I was anywhere else, I probably would as well.
Such a
But
good
I think
point.
it's just like the environment that you're in. It's like people are like, it's not that deep. Like we're going to get like Yochi. Like why are you dressed like you're going on a runway? Like it's
No, but you know what? It's like it's being the change. We're making fashion motivational right now.
Be
but
the change you want to see in the world.
No. But seriously, so I have a really good friend, really good looking friend named Jackson. Shout out Jackson if you're watching this. So I wear baggy clothes. It looks like it's been fucking put through the bin. It stinks. It's covered in dust. But that's just me, and I don't care. I actually don't care, right? But then I'll look at Jackson and we'll rock up somewhere where I'm just wearing trackies and an hoodie or something stupid, right? And he's wearing a cropped shirt and everything's tailored and fitted. And I just look, I'm like, fuck, you're sexy, man. Like, you're good looking. But then I look at him like, fuck, that would have like, you had to think about that and this. And I see it in us boys. Maybe it's boy culture or whatever. We'll look at him and like tug on his shoulder. You look, and we'll give him shit about his cropped shirt and this, that. But like,
at the end of the day,
it's him and he's embraced it. And you know what? A year ago, we were giving him so much more shit about wearing a cropped fitted shirt than we do now. You want to know why? Because he was
trendy as well.
Regardless of the, yes. But the idea that like something you would have worn 2 years ago would have been a big step for you, but now it's normal for you. And now suddenly other people are taking inspiration from your normality.
Yeah.
And now everyone's wearing baking paper.
Yeah. We're all in baby. Next season is alfoil.
Alfoil. But do you get the point? You think about something that was so outrageous back in the day for you. And now you're like, I'm so glad we've come here, Adelaide. We're all wearing cool shit.
Absolutely. And it's like baby steps, you know, if you're not doing anything super like completely wild, but you know, like go out and like post yourself in an outfit that you don't have to wear it out, but like it's a confidence thing, right? And you find your feet and like.
Do you get feedback a lot of the time where people will say, thank you like for that inspiration. I fucking put that on. I feel $1 million thanks to you.
Yeah. And I live for that shit. I love it. It's like,
that's
thanks.
the way. It's
Thanks.
like when I share a recipe and they're like, I made that for my family. They're all fed and they said it was delicious. Like your creations have created a positive memory for someone.
Yeah, live for that.
And yours generates like, so mine, yes, it'll make them fall or it'll give them a pleasure to enjoy or something to share. You're giving people confidence.
Yeah.
Thank you for that makeup tip. I look sexy as fuck.
Yeah.
Thank you for that dress tip.
it.
I didn't know that this would fit my type of body. Like it's...
Yeah. It's really special.
It's quite special, actually.
I love it.
Okay. We're kicking some ass. Maybe the audience doesn't think so. They're like, what the fuck are they saying? Fucking alfoil outfits. The fuck? I was going to talk to you about your trip in Europe and how that led to a lot of change, but I kind of like just the flow.
Yeah.
We've looked back. We're looking at the present. Let's look forward. As we look into the future, what are some goals and dreams you're working towards, Emily?
Goals and dreams. Like I kind of said to you before we started filming, I'd always have a plan in like what I wanted to do. I always said, finish school, go to uni, work for a year, take a gap year. But that's as far as I got. And now I'm kind of, for the first time in ever really, I don't have a plan. And it's really nice. It's, I think opens a lot of opportunities for you when you kind of, have more of an open mind in saying things. Like something similar happened to me actually 2019 or something. And I just said, okay, well, this opportunity didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Let me just try saying yes to everything for a year, see where it gets me.
So you're back in the yes phase.
Yeah, I'm back in the yes phase, but in a more grounded perspective, I'd say.
You're a yes with a stronger set of rules about what no is.
Exactly.
That's a good way to put it. So I've heard you say in content before that you are, obviously we've got a long way to go. We're children, right? I mean, to some people, 23 is young. I feel old. But point of the matter is, like you've said in the past, that you are now living the life that teenage you always wanted, right? So you've ticked that box, but there's a whole life ahead to go. Yes, your answer is, I've done these things and now it's time for the market research. Let me just figure out what it is that I actually want to do, right? Do you have an idea of, speaking of the no's, right? What's the general direction? Do you want to stay in content? Would you like to release a product? Can you imagine an Emily Ross fucking like set of jeans or something?
Whoa.
Okay.
Well,
we don't
wear
want to
them,
spoil
please,
anything.
if I ever do that.
But do you know what I'm saying? Is there anything that like, do you want to build something? Do you want to make something? Are you it's traveling again.
Yeah, look, I honestly am someone who, we've kind of talked about this, but I'm interested in so many things, and just picking one is so hard.
Yeah, wow.
That was fun.
Hello to your 2 laptop. Jeez. Okay.
Just picking one thing is really hard, and I think as long as I'm like happy and like I love what I'm doing and I like believe in what I'm doing, it aligns with my values, I'd say I'm on the right track. I'd love to, get back into like acting at some point. It's something that I used to do a bunch as a kid.
You just gave me a memory. We're driving to this house to take these photos, and both you and I at the time,
oh my God,
we were practicing, what's it called? Improv.
Yeah.
And we were like in a car, like, all right, you and me are an old married couple, and we're fighting. Yes, and. Oh, wow.
That unlocked that. I forgot about that.
That's crazy.
Oh,
acting
man.
is a thing, though. I was only interested in it from a performative perspective for better making of content.
Right, yeah.
Respect to actors, man.
Oh, so much respect.
To be able to like this whole theme has been about how can I pursue the thing I like doing without worry of judgment. Every time I try to do a bit that requires me to stay in character, I'm so worried, even if it's for content.
Yeah.
So worried about what people will think of this version of the character that I can't stay in the character, right?
Yeah, wow.
Performers just put themselves out there. If you got a crying scene, like I just watched Zendaya's The Challenger movie.
Oh, so did I.
She has the chops, mate.
Oh, yeah.
But to be able to do a role like that and just stay in it and be like, you know what, guys, I'm Zendaya. I'm me outside of the camera. You don't need to know who that is, but I'm more than comfortable with you seeing this side of this character.
Yeah.
Like, the confidence it requires. I respect that shit.
Yeah.
What's been your journey with acting? You said you want to get back into it. Has it been confidence building for you?
What do you mean by confidence building?
As in, like, no doubt you obviously like the craft. That's why you're interested in it. But the biggest skill of you practicing it and learning it, is it the skill that's limiting you? Or is it like what I'm going through, which is I can't hold a bit to save my life?
Oh, no. I'm like, well, it was just so much of my life for such a long period of time, and I was so focused on like getting to that goal, and like in my head acting was actually the top of my preference list when I did uni, and I got right through. I got all the rounds, all the auditions, all the interviews, and I think it was like 2 weeks out of uni, maybe 3, where I got the email saying that they picked the other girls between myself and another girl, which I'd seen this other girl in the auditions. The fact that they were even considering me next to her, I was like,
wow.
Damn, thank you.
Yeah.
That boosted my ego. But that's why I kind of started saying yes to things, because I was like, okay, well, this isn't meant for me right now. All I've been thinking about is this. What else is out there? And now I think kind of as I'm finding myself, and same with a bunch of my friends, we all did so much in like school. We all had all these hobbies. We're like, now what do we just work?
Yeah, they're just abandoned.
Yeah, we're like, what the fuck? Like, so I started dancing again. And then
doing it for the plot, some would say.
Oh yes, dangerous game to play. I was doing things for the plot for a while.
Is that
plot gets messy?
Have I misunderstood the cultural term there?
Perhaps.
Doing things for the plot to me means like it's a fucking side quest. Let's go for it. Is it? No, I missed it.
No. For the plot to me, it's like, is it a good idea? No. Would it make my life interesting?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm getting old.
Yeah,
oh, wow, that's.
Anyway, fuck.
Why am I like this, man? Your favorite quote is by Emma Watson. If not me, who? If not now, when? How has this influenced your life choices and career? And perhaps you've already just answered it literally just then.
Yeah, look, I think when you can have self-doubt, I think, when you try, I mean, for myself, when I would look at all these other influencers, that'd be like, I kind of thought to myself, oh, I wonder who's next? Like, who's going to be the next person that everyone loves? And it's like, well, if not me, then who, and when do or maybe I'll wait for XYZ to fall into place. Be like, if not now, like there's always going to be stuff. There's always going to be things that, make it not ideal to do what you want to do. But if not now, when? And I think I heard that when I was like 12, 13 years old for the first time, and it's like been my favorite quote ever since.
And the way that it matches this idea of, and it's going to sound cringe and cliche, but it's also the truth of like, you'll hear people say you need to treat your life like you're the main character. And I understand how that's wishy-washy, I get it. But also at the same time, can you imagine if there were cameras following you around 24 hours of the day, right?
Bruh.
And this movie was something that people were watching, how differently would you behave? And I'm not saying like, how differently would you behave in terms of the embarrassing shit you do? Like, I would still fart and burp and do all the shit that I do, right?
Same, obviously.
Point of the matter is, would you spend so much time not doing the things you feel like you're capable of doing? Like, you know, people are watching now. If not
it's like,
you,
what if you fuck up? You
then
know?
who? And if not now, then fucking when? Like, it's true. Very well said. Speaking of, to wrap up, what advice would you give to someone who's feeling stuck in a situation they don't like and is unsure of what to do next? And this can be as macro as you want it to be.
Someone who's stuck in this situation but unsure of what to do next.
Or something you feel like the generation could benefit from hearing at the moment that you wish you knew as a teenager.
Ooh, they're both really good options. Just know, I think my key piece of advice is just to know that you haven't met all of the people that you're going to know and love. You haven't experienced all the things that are going to spark joy, to sound cringe. There's so much of your life left to live. Say yes to new opportunities because you don't know where it will lead you. It could suck. Okay. Don't have to do that again. Fine. But it could lead to something really awesome and you could meet amazing people. And yeah, that would be my 2 cents.
Spot on. Honestly, this has been one of my favorite podcasts to date so far. I know I've only done 8, but you're in my top 8 for sure. But no. Honestly, guys, this has been Emily Ross. If you want to see her pages, they'll be linked in the description. If you like the episode, make sure to like it, press subscribe, all of that shit. You kicked ass. This is great. This is the part where the camera cuts right now.